There is something that we expect at a policy level, that we expect changes to be made for addiction. I'll throw open my view. One part of it is awareness. Awareness is light-hearted. It's a choice that I could listen to you. But I really believe trainings to various sections of our society, right? Can there be a module around addiction recognition, training, psychological first aid, mental health first aid to law enforcement agencies? Of course, educational institution, working corporates, to people who are glamorized, the sporting fraternity, the film. I think there's enough about film fraternity, but we have to tell them. But to the film fraternity as well. For me, is a step beyond awareness is really trainings. Is my take. I would see that change to trickle down from a policy level.
Mental health should be part of every school's curriculum, whether it is a government school, whether it is a vernacular institution, or whether it's a high-flying IB curriculum. Mental health should be part of the schools, it should be part of the colleges, and to a certain extent even the corporate houses. People think that it is in the next person's doorstep. It's not in my doorstep. They don't want to accept it. It can hit you. And the awareness is not there. If you're looking at the parents, even if we reach out to the parents, they don't want to sort of talk about it. The school authorities don't want to talk about it. They don't want to address drugs or addiction. They don't want to. So if it's made mandatory, they have no choice but to address it. Sometimes I feel that I did not understand the psychiatric part, right, because the school does not facilitate that. So how does a parent know? Mental health should be made mandatory by the policymakers so that we have a psychiatric part of it, the counseling part of it that goes in, and there are a lot of other awareness which comes in terms of substances. So the students will not say that cannabis is okay, and they will understand what is pleasure. You were talking about pleasure. What is finally pleasure? Do you have to depend on something X, Y, Z to give you the pleasure, or does it come from within? We need to also go into the core of it. What is leading to addiction? It's more in terms of self-esteem, lack of self-confidence. You're bored, you've got too much. So why don't you involve the students in other maybe social services, make them see other people suffering, we try and contribute positively. When you do all that, the personality, see, I think the government, where the people like Ms. Soumya comes in, where you create, when you're saying mental health, it has to be an overall personality development, including the psychiatric part, including making the parents aware of what are the hazards. It's not in the next door neighbors, but it's very much inside you, and it's going to hit you, it's going to suck you in. That is very important.
We need to have a more open society to overcome that stigma, and then be able to talk about it openly and be able to understand that these are not problems somebody else has. It could well be at your home. Yeah. Okay. Perfectly healthy families, we see that somebody becomes dependent on that, on a drug. Now, when we look into the genetics, when you look into the environment, you find perfectly normal backgrounds. Yeah. So we all talk about anxiety, depression now, but even drug use too.
Just to throw open some statistics, it's close to about 5 to 7.5% of the Indian population today are directly or indirectly affected by addiction issues, who need treatment and help. While there is the prevalence of these issues, our treatment gap always ranges to 85% and above. So that means to say 85% of those people never have sought help or have had access to help itself. I think coming back to where we see policies head, especially with addiction in specific, I mean mental health itself is a very broader aspect, and addiction is one part of mental health. I think we have a view of trainings, you have a view of it being inclusive in the education system. Ma'am, it's over to you.
Are we really going to talk about this 2 months from now as passionately, screaming at each other, oh, the drugs problem, we are enforcing, we are doing this, we are doing that? But I think a media person came and asked me, oh, they're doing this, what's your opinion, this actor? I'm like, what I responded was, this has always been an issue. On the 2nd of July 2009, Delhi High Court repealed Section 377. It took years and years, almost like a decade and a half of a lot of people fighting for it. And what happened after that was I mean, a lot of people were extremely shocked. Parents and teachers, principals didn't know how to deal with children who are queer, who are LGBT. When the whole conversation about having a sex education mandatory in schools was, oh my God, a lot of people protested. Some section of the, I would say, society or you know, politicians protest, no, 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 this is, we don't talk about this, we don't talk about that. But I think when you look at things holistically, what happens in other countries? You talk about abstinence, okay, fine. When you do this, you need to also have, you know, do it protected, or this is a consequence and all of that. And I think we need to have similar conversations about mental health as well. I mean, we're talking about depression, anxiety. How many people really out there tell openly that I am depressed, I
Yeah.
have anxiety, I go to a therapist? And I think even that also applies to a lot of things, including saying, yeah, I have HIV. I think the biggest issue is also the fear, I mean, the stigma as well associated with it, right? And I think when a child knows that, okay, I mean, it starts young. When you actually identify that earlier, when there is a counselor available who actually also identifies, or even the child knows, okay, fine, this is not some, this is, it's okay for me to go and talk to that person when I need help. It could be a parent, it could be a teacher, it could be a counselor, it could be anybody. And I think having these conversations is so important.
You know, when we're working with the school programs, and few schools have been proactive enough to incorporate that in the curriculum, we walk out of schools where they say, can your counselors be teachers, be known as teachers but not as counselors? We say the day you recognize them as counselors in your school, we will come back in. You know, and many seekers for help who reach out do not know that psychiatrists or psychologists are as well trained, go through the same grind that even a cardiologist or a neurologist or any super specialist would go through in the similar training in the medical fraternity. Psychologists would go through the similar training in their masters, graduation, like any other field. And this is another science.
Again, I go back into my own field, which is the medical field. Now, within our medical curriculum itself, first and foremost, it has to be far more strongly emphasized. Which
In the medical curriculum.
Yes, absolutely. I think the psychiatry as a field, mental health itself as a field, it's only in the last few years you get few questions in the final year MBBS. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you need to have a separate paper. You need to have probably within
That's a
the
very
medical
valid point.
profession probably an entire focus on the psychoactive substances and what it causes, and so that it's the medical field which has to be well informed to detect it, and also to suggest and get the right treatment. Let's not forget, most of the families, most of the people do get in contact with, whether it is the general practitioners or so many other people who are allied health sciences, before they get in touch with the mental health as such. So first and foremost, within the medical field, there needs to be a lot more prominence for that. Now, continuing or sustaining a debate for long in the mainstream is not easy. Okay, nobody will be interested after a few months, and you will have something else which comes up. But at least within the policymakers, you are right. Now you have the new, or already the Mental Health Care Act, which has been implemented. The users, policymakers have to be far more well versed with that, far more comfortable, and be able to guide the people, because finally they are the ones who are very much required to work with the people, the local people. Now, as far as continuing the discussion on the substance use, I see it as an ongoing debate. Your efforts of continuing to work with schools, parents, be it at any level, okay, adults, young adults, later on also. We have people suddenly who got into, whether it is substance in their mid-40s for some middle-age crisis, okay, which has happened. So clearly it is an ongoing one. Of course, locally the challenges may be different. If you move to a rural area, you know, again the scope itself is different. It may not be a particular cannabis or something else, but maybe local Arak or something which could be a problem there. So it is at multiple levels, the social consequences of it, the effects on the children, the effects on their employment, as Ms. Soumya was talking about, and as a parent, and lots of things which are there.
When it is made a social issue, it requires, be it law enforcement authorities, policymakers, schools, working corporate, the society at large to accept. When was the last time somebody said, I'm fine to give somebody an employment after he has gone through addiction treatment or he has gone through mental health treatment? When is the last time a school said, it's fine if he is going through mental treatment, he could continue in the school? And when can a parent really come out and say, it's not about my bad parenting, he's slipped into addiction and a dependence?